we're like just kind of we're gonna ease in. We're just gonna ease in.
I like the way you're making me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You've done this before.
I have done this before. Yeah.
I had a fractional. We actually called it part-time CMO.
Okay.
That I started in Europe.
Okay.
I started in Paris.
In Paris.
Yeah.
So, what the hell are you doing in Michigan?
Detroit.
Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just here.
I just saw it on a map and I was
You're like, this is the spot?
That's the place. The straight, I'm just going straight there.
So, I mean, but truly though, like if you had a business in Paris, you have this wonderful company where you're doing part-time CMO work.
Yeah. For really good companies, by the way. Like we got very lucky in terms of our timing, which actually for me leads into how we ended up kind of doing what we're doing now.
Well, please elaborate then.
Because so the reason I was in France is because my dad is French and I'd lived in Europe and I hadn't never lived in France.
Okay.
Even though I had the passport. And so I went to live there. I started doing freelance work. And that then became a business because I had a business partner who used to be the CMO of a big French fund.
Okay.
Like a couple of $1 billion in funds.
Oh wow.
So much bigger than a lot of the ones that we get locally. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
And we worked for similar companies, and we just decided to do it together because he was the French guy and I was the English-speaking person, basically. And the period of time was when that ecosystem grew a lot. So the way that I describe it is from 2018 when we started to 23, it grew multiple of 6 times in funding.
Whoa.
Roughly. And it went from like 3 unicorns to 35. So why is that relevant to here is because a lot of the conversation that was going on when I first got there is very similar to the stuff you hear.
Okay.
Here.
So there's definitely some overlap in regards to what your experience in Paris, but then also into the Midwest. What excited you about the Midwest that was like, hey, like maybe something similar could happen here? Or I'm assuming that's kind of part of the process or maybe even part of the imagination.
Well, first of all, the reason I came here is because I sold the business and then my wife was offered a job here.
Okay.
So the timing was part of the reason for it, right? So I was kind of starting from scratch again. When you talk about the excitement, that parallel, I didn't know any of that when I got here. I was
really?
No, I had no. Why would I think that? I mean, in my mind, I was like, even though we come into Michigan, when I say even though, it's the middle of the country. It's not the coast. It's not the places that people think of when they think of moving to the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
That's a fact, right?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. And I think that I was the same. So, but to us, it's still in the US. So the problem is that the French would say, like, people leave, we lose talent, they raise money elsewhere. Where do they go? Mm-hmm. They came here, right? Mm-hmm. Like not necessarily to here. Although I do know of stories of French people moving here. I had one in Grand Rapids the other day.
Really?
Yeah. They told me it was a French company was moving there. But the point is that narrative was what they say about here, and here people say we lose talent, they raise money everywhere else. And yet the difference is that there's no barrier to companies here like there is for French ones. If you're the thing about YC, if you get into YC, you have to form a company in the US, right? You have to form a Delaware corporation. Doesn't matter where you're from, right? And there's problems with that for different reasons for countries that have upcoming ecosystems, primarily Africa. That's a whole other story. Mm-hmm. But if you're based in Detroit, you don't need to do anything else, right? You can you're here, right? So you don't have those barriers that those foreign companies have. And so the narrative is people leave. The narrative is not enough early stage capital. And I was just like, well, why? And how real is it? And so that's when I started looking at it.
Okay. So we're going to back up just a little bit because obviously the big thing that I want you to do is if obviously I met you for the first time literally today. Ted Villa introduced us. But I would could you give just a general introduction?
We had a good chat.
We did. Absolutely. Connected, completely.
He called me Fly.
He did call you Fly. You are Fly. I mean, you had a sport coat on and he had to take it off because he was a little too fly.
It's actually a suit jacket.
Yeah. But can you give a general, hey, my name's Phil, give the audience just an intro so that they know who we're talking to. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Phil. I'm Australian. I've been in the US for a year. Moved here from Europe, and I am the co-founder of Start Midwest, which is a website telling stories of Midwest tech and innovation.
Man, that was so good. You're sure you haven't done this a whole lot?
I'm getting better at it. Here, you got to have your story straight. You got to be able to tell a story of what And so I feel like I practiced it without even realizing I
Oh,
was
really?
practicing it. Whereas before I would probably just be like talking out of my backside.
That makes sense. So can you talk us a little bit about Start Midwest, why you even believe that this is like a thing that is needed for the Midwest? And especially for me, like I look at any media publication and I'm like, why does this exist? Like what is this service? Because obviously you've only been here for like a year, right? Like you just said.
Yeah.
Obviously you have a lot of experience in the VC space, in the actual investment spots, but also like marketing these new places. You said they went from like 1 unicorn to 32. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, it's like 3 to 34.
That's pretty crazy.
Probably more.
And for those of you that don't know what a unicorn is, it's a business that actually the investments that the VCs put in kind of go to the moon. You're making a lot of money on those returns.
It's a valuation of $1 billion minimum, but it also doesn't actually exist. Let's face it, right? It is a unicorn, does not really exist. So the idea is that it's an outlier, right? That's why it's called the unicorn. But yeah.
Anyway. Are you seeing an ecosystem in the Midwest that can actually do something similar to what you experienced before?
I mean, I don't want to sit here and say this is the one thing that I've been a bit conscious of. Like, I'm happy to answer these questions and just give like, this is what I think. But I'm also aware of the fact I'm so fresh that I don't know. I'm kind of like, what if, and that's what led us to do this. And by the way, it's with Ted from Midwest Houses involved, right, in getting this up and running, because it made sense to do it with someone who knows a bit more than, not just than I do, but knows more.
Ted's been very connected for a while.
Yeah. It's connection is the name of the game. So if you ask me like, do I think it can? I mean, it kind of already has. It's just been few and far between. I think so. That's where I started. People, when I first started going to events and meeting people, like things like this, and talking about blah blah blah, the same thing I tell you, and then they go, well, we need more early stage capital. So I was like, well, is there a way to prove whether that's true or not?
Oh, okay.
And so what I looked at was the amount of funds raised against the size of the economy.
Okay.
And then I compared it to the other states.
Okay.
As a starting point. Then I compared it to other countries.
Okay.
And so, and I only did it for 24, and it'd be interesting to do it for a longer period, but it looks like relatively the 6 Midwest states that we concern ourselves with for the moment, which are Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin, as a collective and individually, the relative amount of funds raised last year, at least, against the size of the economy is lower. Like, it's a third the size of Canada.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
It's much lower than California. That's not a fair comparison. It's much lower than New York. It's much lower than Massachusetts. But those places have reasons to be like that. But so you say Canada, well, like, you can drive
to Canada,
to Toronto,
like right now.
Guess where the biggest city in Canada for fundraising is? Toronto.
Okay.
So to say that it's geographical doesn't make sense. Now, it's national government versus state government, of course. There's reasons for that, but just that kind of like just seems like it should be more, right? Just logically.
Right.
And I'm not well versed enough in this. I'm not a heavy investor or anything. I've worked with VCs. I've helped them with marketing, but like, I'm not pretending I know what can change that on its own. But just if you look at that number, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no, totally. So obviously we are here because of the Reindustrialize Conference. That's kind of like the big reason to hear. I'm curious for you, why are you at this conference? What are you hoping to get out of it?
I was not at the conference.
You didn't get to go to the conference?
No, it's
but you're here at this
very
party
exclusive.
right now.
Sports code or not.
Still not
getting in. I tried, stood there.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had some serious security.
Machines, I can make stuff. Started sewing in front of them.
But so then, why are you here at this exact party? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this?
I mean, this is obviously the event being in Detroit is a pretty big deal, right? Like, and it makes perfect sense for it to be in Detroit, because it's brought, as far as I understand, it's brought people from all over the world, all over the country that have a very are very involved in manufacturing in particular, and now manufacturing is kind of, it's not just what it used to be. What's being made, how it's being made, the different tech that can kind of overlay and make it more efficient is changing. And so if this region, if this city, if this state is to kind of reinvent itself and have new innovations impact its economy, it needs to still rely on the things that it does well.
Right.
And by the way, there's a bit of that when we've been writing stuff. I discovered that the car industry is well known in Michigan.
Of course.
And in fact, throughout the Midwest, like there's a lot of states nearby. Illinois and Ohio contribute a lot to the car industry.
Absolutely.
But the car industry came out of apparently like shipbuilding. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, also
Henry
we have
Ford
like industry in general in Michigan it's pretty nuts. Everything from like, all the forests that used to be here and all the furniture companies, and then also on the manufacturing side, and then also
copper, wood,
boats. Yeah,
ships,
all the old school, like
kind of,
literally, it feels like civilization as a computer game was Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of like one thing after another was those things, and then it was automotive, and it's been automotive for so long. So I'm not saying automotive is going to go away, but like
It still has to evolve.
there's got to be
Yeah.
some kind of evolution upon it. So like I didn't go. I have no idea what they talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was very interesting and very helpful. But the fact it's here, I think, is pretty cool and really, really important.
Sweet. Cool. So I'm super curious because of your story, and it's after living here for a year, getting involved in publications. Obviously, you have a ton of experience in the marketing space, but like I'm curious around your feelings around the Midwest specifically. Because, and then you also see, I've had a very brief conversation before we sat down for this, and like you do seem genuinely enthusiastic about the Midwest, which I don't really experience from someone that one is from Australia and two is from Paris. Like that is normally not the case. People are like coming to the Midwest and they're immediately like, get me the hell out of here. So like, can you help me understand why you're enthusiastic about the Midwest and how you feel about it?
So first things first, you had Hillary Doe here before, who's the Chief Growth Officer for the state of Michigan, right? And when I walked in and we were talking before, she explained a bit about her job, and she said, like, to get people to move here. And so she said, because I moved here, she's like, oh, there's one tick off.
Yeah, she's like, literally, you're one of them.
Good joke. And she was talking about perceptions of the state or the city elsewhere. And I said, when I told people in Paris, like I remember it was on a rooftop like this in Paris, right? It's very similar.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, so to the guys that had bought my business, I was like, yeah, we're moving to Detroit. And they're like, the name of Detroit is obviously a French name.
I did not know that. Detroit.
No, that's what they did. They went, Detroit.
Yeah.
Right? So it was like, yeah, what? The kind of reaction was just surprised me. And I guess that's a perceptual thing, right? So,
yes.
And then you come here and you, especially like the kind of feeling of like, Detroit's coming back. When I first got here and I was walking around, I was trying to buy a car, I was trying to find a house, and people would say like, no, Detroit's coming back. And I was like, where was it?
Right.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I started out of interest. Maybe it's because I don't believe anyone and I like to find out for myself. And that's kind of what... And then when I started, like... It was when I realized, like, the people that were from here, the things that have been made here, so, Henry Ford was once the richest man in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brush Park was once... I don't think it was the most expensive real estate in the world. It's just off downtown here, but it's this place where now there's mansions that are being rebuilt, and then there's empty houses, and then there's still dilapidated places. It's incredible, but you can see that coming back. The people that have come from here, like Larry Page, who created Google's from here, Madonna's from here.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Iggy Pop's from Ann Arbor, where I live.
Heck yeah.
Got to throw that one in. Mark Andreessen from Anderson Horowitz is from here. Steve Ballmer, who was the CEO of Microsoft, is from here. It's like,
wait a minute. There's actually a lot here.
Yeah, and then you add so people here talk Michigan, and they're right. But for me, it's like the region is interesting because there's a lot of similarities, similar problems, similar conversations, and I just think like it makes sense to kind of do it together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the kind of the genesis of it. I just think it's like, I don't know, maybe because I'm Australian and I just like the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And also like people were saying we need to tell more stories, and I'm like, well, let's just do that then.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of the attitude. Now, hey, maybe we'll have this conversation in a year's time and I'll be like,
well, maybe it wasn't as
And there's people that have told me like it's not the best idea, but once I got my teeth into it, it was a bit hard to stop. So we're out there now.
Mm-hmm.
It's start midwest.com. Couldn't get the full one, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
I'll send some ads their way so they can.
Yeah.
But people should check it out, because that's the kind of goal, is to tell the stories. And the people that I've been talking to and the people I've been interviewing and this kind of thing, finding out, it's just cool and it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different to the rest of the country, but has a lot of the same advantages. So let's jump on that bandwagon.
Right.
That's my attitude.
Yeah, it sounds like you're trying to elevate the stories of the Midwest in a way that actually highlights the real change that's happening here. And I love your perspective of, hey, I don't know what was before. I didn't see what was before. I entered a year ago, but what I'm seeing is actually like pretty great. And it's actually, there's a lot going on that you should be proud of. And I think a lot of Midwesterners don't have the ability to actually step back from what they grew up with, or the perception of the stepbrother mentality, or the lesser than, or like that kind of energy. Very much like flyover country and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like you said at the start, when you tell your buddies about the company in Paris, they're like, "You're going to Detroit?
Yeah.
Why? Like, why would you be going to a place like that?" But now that you're here, you're actually like, "Oh, there's a lot happening here, and these stories are worth telling."
Yeah, and it's also like, the story of people coming to America is always like, you want to, when I'm kind of questioning myself, which everyone questions themselves, you branched out on your own, I'm sure you question yourself.
Yo, absolutely. All the time.
When I question myself, I'm also like, if I come to this country, why not just go for it?
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Just go big or go home.
Yeah.
And so that keeps me going. But when you say like there's a lot happening here, I also just think like the stuff we talked about before with that funding level, the regeneration, the attitude, the hipsterness that's coming on, all those things are also an opportunity. And so it's like, and when I say opportunity, not like I'm going to take advantage of it. It's more like, if it's costing you too much in San Francisco and you have a business that fits the paradigm of what we build in this region,
right? Why wouldn't you?
not?
Yeah.
And I wrote something today about the universities, because that's the one area where it is world class.
Yes.
Like if you look at those 6 states, they produce.
We got good colleges.
Like honestly,
yeah.
And on any ranking, we worked out all these different ways to measure them. It is really, really good. So like the talent is here. If you can convince them to stay, and they can have a better like quality of life than having to go to these cities where, I've lived in a couple of big cities. I lived in London and Paris. I like both of them, but there are aspects of it that it's just like, it's soul sucking, man.
Mm-hmm.
And now I grow veggies in my backyard. It's like,
and that's definitely not soul sucking.
It's
When
not
you're growing
it's like-
veggies, you're like, I have vegetables.
I eat them and stuff. But like my point is like that, it should be a thing of like, you can stay here or you can move here, and there are advantages to doing that. It's not just like stuff's happening. It's like, well, let's also go and say to people like, why don't you come and be part of it? Like, why think that's the only way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as the only way. In business, there's no such thing as like, this is the way to do it.
Right.
That's BS.
I couldn't agree more. And well, speaking of what you're starting to touch on something that I want to ask you about, which is, especially around Midwest startups. How can Midwest startups improve and grow more rapidly? Because obviously you've helped marketing in those spaces before.
Yeah.
You've been you're in the Midwest right now. You're writing stories about people that are doing it.
Yeah.
You're talking about like, hey, if you're in San Diego and your product and things like that, just the office alone is eating all of your funding, you could actually start a lot simpler in the Midwest and actually probably grow faster because your overhead alone is going to be so much better.
Yeah. I'll be honest and say I haven't done enough of it in this country to be able to say, like, normally I might be able to lay out, like, here's my kind of paradigm.
Yeah,
like,
here's the
my
roadmap.
kind of best shortcut to, best CRM, stuff like that, But, like, I would feel uncomfortable saying this is what you should do. But what I can talk about is I did work on some businesses that were from somewhere else who came here. And one of whom is doing super well. Their headquarters is in Chicago. They come from outside. I still know them. And when we first started looking at that, it was back when I still worked with them, it was like 5-6 years ago. I was like, you know what we need to do? We need to go to different regional areas and find out where's the best concentration of our particular customer. Mm-hmm. And obviously we were starting from scratch, so we had to run ads. We had no one on the ground. And so we looked at like cost per acquisition and stuff like that. And I did it again with someone the other day who was asking for my advice from overseas. And it was the same thing. and they were in a restaurant game. And I don't know, I don't do a lot of consumer stuff, but what I was saying is like, I feel like this area is actually a good area for you to come to or to target, because they started in New York. So it's like, it feels like you could probably find another place. Like you could, for food, you should go to Chicago, surely. You're going to pay less to have people, salary or maybe not, but like, you know, cost of living and stuff like that. Cost per acquisition probably be better just because of the competition. Start there, branch out, and then, you know, look at the bigger
larger
cities.
markets. Yeah.
And I think like probably people from here know that, or again, this is my lack of experience in this area. Maybe they're targeting bigger cities because they think it's the thing to do.
There's a lot of perception thing. Again, going back to like you're like, oh, in order to be successful, I have to be successful in those spots. But the reality is, like what you said earlier, business-wise, you kind of get to determine that for yourself, especially like what the road is to success. Yeah,
and it's for me, when you're going to market, you find a kind of starting point and you branch out from that, whether it's a type of customer or a geographical area. And so I think that is an opportunity for anyone who comes here. People from here probably do that naturally because they're starting with their local market. But then I don't know if they're in Cincinnati, did they then go to New York straight away? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think this connection between these different cities and states, I know it already happens, but I think that can be quite powerful for the ecosystems. And again, it happens, but hopefully we can tell more about it.
Cool. Okay. What's next for you, and how can people keep up with your work and what you're doing with Start Midwest and everything like that?
What is next for me is to finally have a drink.
Have a drink? I didn't mean tonight. I mean in general. Also have a drink?
I deserve a drink. These guys will hopefully tell you that I deserve a drink. What's next? Well, I mean, you know, we're live now. We've told as many people as we can about it today. We want more people to know about it, because I keep saying that first of all, media is really hard.
Yeah.
Media.
Yep.
Media is hard to make. Media is hard to make money from. I'm not motivated by the belief that this is going to be this huge money-making thing. I'm motivated by the fact that I think there is a lot of stories to tell, and I think that's really cool. Yeah. And I think other things will flow from that. So you can go to. I already gave the URL. Right?
You could do it again. It's fine.
Start-midwest.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. My first name is actually Philippe.
That's crucial.
It's very French, and I'm not changing it.
Good.
Got me long enough to. It is actually my name. I hated it as a kid, but now I own it. So, Philippe Vella.
Cool.
On LinkedIn. And what's next is we're just going to keep going with this. Tell more stories. Obviously, try and build up awareness, traffic, to the point where, you know, people come to us for that kind of information. And I would really hope that one day people come to us from outside to know what's going on. Like if investors come to us to say who's hot,
yes,
you know, that would be really cool. Or what industries are working there better than others, for insights into how to break the market. You know, maybe I think all those things are possible, but it's probably down the line. For now, just trying to meet people, tell really good stories, and keep it live, keep the lights on.
That's awesome. I love it. Phil, honestly, Philippe, it's been a really good conversation with you. I just appreciate your candor. I appreciate your storytelling in general. I'm really excited for this project. I think it's going to be really cool, and can't wait to hear more stories from you.
Yes, and I hope this video will make its way to our website.
100%
we can talk about that. I actually think after this, you and I should just have a podcast.
We could do that.
I mean, I know I'm taking a lot of time here, but I'm going to take my time to do it. I at some stage, I do want to do a podcast that is called "How Do I Become a Midwesterner," where I interview. I mean, we want to build it up, right? The goal is in the end we get Larry Page at the end, and I'm like, so Larry Page, founder of Google, come from Michigan, you blah 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 blah. Yeah. How do I become a Midwesterner?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the conversation.
I think that's a wonderful conversation. We should that's one of the shows you got to have at Start Midwest.
That's why I throw it out there.
Yeah. That's the next step in this
That's
journey.
when we get some.
That's
some
actually
audience.
what's next.
Right.